First of all, it is about life. And we have, each one of us has a right to live. If anything is interfering with our right to live, then it becomes an issue. It becomes a concern. I was first exposed to mercury when I started engaging in artisanal mining at age 12. I was forced to engage in this activity. At age 24, I became sick. And when I went to the hospital, it was realized that it was a heart problem. Those who were burning amalgam, some of them died as a result of liver infection. Nobody could tell them that maybe what we are using to recover our gold could be the problem.
A healthy environment is absolutely necessary for the full enjoyment of human rights. When we look around and see all of the ways in which pollution of the air and water, the toxic releases can affect the enjoyment of our basic rights. We see this in many contexts, but certainly including water pollution. We've just passed the second anniversary of the worst environmental disaster in Brazilian history, the destruction of a mining dam along the Rio Doce River in Brazil that resulted in the release of 60 million cubic meters of iron waste that basically destroyed the entire river, caused loss of life, had adverse consequences for human health. We should realize that water pollution, as well as other types of pollution, happen on a less spectacular scale all the time. So it's very important that we protect people's rights to be able to find out about environmental problems that may affect them, and to protect their ability to exercise their rights of freedom of expression and participate in environmental decision making.
The law has a very important role in controlling and reducing air pollution. It's not possible to meet an aspiration for a pollution-free planet without using the law. The law defines the rights of persons, including the right to a clean environment. It defines the obligations of those who might affect that aspiration, and it also clearly identifies what the consequences would be if those rights are not observed and if the obligations are not met. Let me demystify a belief that we don't have tough laws. We do have tough laws in many places, but there is an issue of governance and enforcement ability in some of these countries. But there are areas also of the world where laws are not tough enough, and there are different reasons why that's the case. There are many pressures. The notion that enacting tougher laws will hurt the economy, will result in reduced livelihoods. But we have answers to that as well. UN Environment can show that you can have tougher laws on air pollution and still meet your economic and social objectives.
Judges have always been connected to the environment, but to the elements of the environment, like water, air, wildlife, soil. The difference nowadays is that judges are asked to protect, through law and constitutional provisions, the environment as a whole. Although judges are absolutely essential in protecting the environment, judges alone cannot do so. We depend on a good system of information, good laws, an administration that works properly. It's very difficult to train all judges of a country on environmental law. It's easier when we have specialized courts.
Smugglers of hazardous waste and chemicals are making use of lack of knowledge, as well as lack of cooperation and lack of information and intelligence sharing. Cooperation and coordination are the answers for successful combating this illegal trade. One of them is ship dismantling on the beaches in South Asia and countries such as Bangladesh, India and Pakistan. There's no control, there are no licenses. The circumstances where this recycling is taking place are very poor.
The first time I heard the term environmental defender was when the newspapers wrote about my struggle in the Wunohuru community, and they defined me as an environmental rights defender. And at that time I actually came out and said, I'm not an environmental rights defender, I'm just trying to bring out these issues, because at the time I didn't know what an environmental rights defender was. So our community became exposed to lead poisoning when in 2009 the government licensed a smelter to be opened inside the Wunohuru community. The community was told that this smelter was going to give jobs, and I was one of the people who got jobs in the smelter. But unfortunately, just 2 months into my work, my son fell sick. And what I saw was really tragic, because so many children had died already. Mothers were getting miscarriages, they could not carry their children to term. You cannot achieve the right to a clean and healthy environment without access to information, public participation, and access to effective remedy. Pollution is a real threat. I have buried children that I loved, that I saw being born, that were exposed to lead poisoning because of pollution. So it's not just about the environment, it's about human beings. It's our responsibility as environmental rights defenders, as policy makers, as decision makers, to ensure that we make decisions that will reach and impact those of us who are the grassroots, who do not have maybe a voice or a chance to be at UNEA.